All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday evening. It's about 7:45 p.m. We're expecting Joe Biden to go live in the next 14 minutes or so. Thanks for joining us here on the Urban Conservative. Go ahead, let everybody know this is where they can catch live remarks from Joe Biden. We're expecting that he's going to talk a little bit about Israel and the Hamas conflict. We think he may mention something to do with Ukraine as well. I am thinking that he may stumble himself through this and at some point may get a sentence that makes sense out, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. But again, ladies and gentlemen, give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching or listening from across the country. Again, Joe Biden about to go live in just about 14 minutes. Give us a share. Let folks know that they can watch live right here on the Urban Conservative. Again, let us know where you're watching from so we can get your shout out. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the president will be addressing the nation shortly. Interestingly enough, as we talk about the Biden administration, he's about to go live here. Biden inflation is still crippling the American people. We're talking about gas prices remain at a 7-year high, levels not seen since he was the vice president. The average national price for a gallon of gas is at its highest level since 2014. An increase in the cost of everyday goods and services is disproportionately hurting lower income families. Real average hourly earnings have decreased by 1.7% because of inflation. On top of rising prices for everyday goods, cost of other essential services like healthcare are also rising. Seniors are seeing the largest ever Medicaid Part B premium increase in 2022. Moody's Analytics has concluded that inflation is costing American families more than $250 per month. So regardless of what Joe Biden fixes his face to say here in just a few moments, American citizens, everyday folks, are feeling it in their pocketbooks. According to a poll conducted by ABC News and an Ipsos poll, 75% of Americans said Biden's economy was not so good or poor, while only 1% view the economy as excellent. And I'm sure we can guess which 1% of the economy thinks that it's excellent, all of his rich homeboys and stuff like that. So on foreign policy, we know that he's had weak leadership and a lack of foreign policy strategy that have crippled our power and influence on the world stage. Afghanistan has fallen to the Taliban. China's ramped up its aggression against Taiwan, Hong Kong, and the Uyghurs. And now Russia's invaded Ukraine. We got the Hamas-Israel conflict going on right now. So again, things that would not be happening. I don't know if there was an orange-skinned, blonde-haired guy in the office. Last summer, the U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan was forced to evacuate after the Taliban overtook Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. Vladimir Putin and the rest of the world saw Biden withdraw U.S. troops without concrete plans to protect Americans and Afghan citizens or prevent the Taliban from taking over the country and all of that wonderful, beautiful equipment that we left behind there. So these are things. Shouts out, Dayton, Ohio's in the building, the OH10. Got to give a big shout out to Ohio. I got some folks up in Cleveland. Good stuff. But President Biden has also been bad on energy. His energy policies have emboldened Moscow to expand its energy foothold in Europe. The Keystone XL pipeline would have created thousands of jobs and helped maintain the United States' global dominance in oil and transport oil from Canada, an ally and one of the world's cleanest oil producers, to U.S. refineries. However, Biden revoked an essential permit for the pipeline, which weakened the United States energy security in the process. Also, President Biden chose weakness months ago when he canceled the Keystone XL pipeline, but allowed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline between Germany and Russia days after Russian criminals hacked the Colonial Pipeline. Why would he choose to eliminate American energy jobs and American pipelines but favor Russian jobs, Russian pipelines, and Russian dominance over our allies? I don't know. Maybe something to do with the corruption we found out about on the laptop, on good old Hunter's laptop. So, with no rule of law, illegal immigration, and a crime surge. And we can go back to January of 2022 when U.S. Customs and Border Protection experienced its worst January in history with 153,941 migrant encounters. Let me say that again. 153,941 migrant encounters. 1 year earlier in 2021, there were only 78,414 encounters. This is a 96.3% increase. Now, a court filing revealed that more than 62,000 illegal immigrants were released into the United States. In President Biden's first 100 days of office, he issued more than 94 executive actions on immigrations, including halting the construction of the border wall and ending the Trump administration's successful Remain in Mexico policy. Now, as a result of the Biden administration reversing that successful border security and immigration policy, migrants that are carrying illegal substances and attempting to enter the United States is happening at an alarming rate. In January of 2022, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection captured 839 pounds of fentanyl at the southern border. That is enough fentanyl to kill hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Fentanyl overdoses are now the leading cause of death for Americans age 18 to 45, said the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, and found a direct link between the Mexican cartels and the fentanyl-related overdose deaths, not to mention all the synthetic fentanyl that's coming in from China. The Fraternal Order of Police reports that in 2021, there were 346 officers shot in the line of duty. 63 died from their wounds. Now, while this is horrifying, there were also 103 ambush attacks on law enforcement officers, a 115% increase from 2020. We could go on and on about how jacked up Joe Biden is, but we're expecting him just in a moment to go live from the Oval Office. Jump in the comments. Let us know what you think he's going to say. Is this going to be the same old same? Is he going to end up just repeating the same thing? Do you even think he's going to be legible, like understandable? Like, is he's going to give a coherent thought? Do you think? Instead, as soon as he has the pressure, man, come on, man. You know, the guy's the pressure, the national pressure. That's what he sounds like to me. So we'll be right back here on the Urban Conservative. We are on standby, waiting for the live stream from the Oval Office. Joe Biden set to address the nation. You're watching right here on the Urban Conservative. Don't go anywhere. We got it. We got you. All right. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com.
Do you like NASCAR? Do you like a Tribe Called Quest? Well, you're going to love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you'd love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're going to love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Hey, buddy, if your car making a sound like this, you might want to get you some power steering fluid and check out the Urban Conservative Podcast.
Are you repulsed by the idea of drag queen story time at your local library, but enjoy Carol Baskin TikTok memes? Then you would enjoy the Urban Conservative. Do you want to slap your boss and then go home and make yourself some golden brown pancakes covered in butter and freshly made warm boysenberry syrup? Then you'll love the Urban Conservative. If you're a little over Cardi B and you're repulsed by the thought of Hogmaw, check out the Urban Conservative. Are you ready? If you think the earth is flat and always on that weird side of YouTube, check out the Urban Conservative. They'll set you straight.
If you're in a chasing dopey and you love Saltfish and Festival, check out the Urban Conservative.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're checking out the Urban Conservative. We are live on a Thursday night in just about 3.5 minutes. Joe Biden should be addressing the nation. Hopefully, we will get a coherent sentence from the octogenarian in chief. Hopefully, we will be able to understand something that he says, although whatever he says is most likely going to be a lie. We've already come to accept that. But we shall see here momentarily in just about 4 minutes. We're expecting Joe Biden to go live from the Oval Office. Do you think he's going to mention Israel, Hamas war going on right now? Is he going to talk about Ukraine? Or is he going to mention the Republicans who at this point have failed to elect a House Speaker, and instead Jim Jordan has pulled his candidacy and is instead backing a plan to empower the current Speaker, Patrick McHenry, to continue to move forward in that role. Unprecedented, never happened before, very historic. Maybe Joe Biden will say something about it, but we are expecting President Biden, octogenarian in chief, to go live from the White House any moment. You're checking it out live here on the Urban Conservative. If you haven't done so already, tuconservative.com is the website to support our mission, which is to share conservative values and principles and the benefits of conservative policies to urban communities across this great nation of ours. Again, the website, tuconservative.com. If you want to support what we do, you can also send us a Cash App, $ TU Conservative, sponsor an episode, sponsor a season. Got to give a big shout out to everybody here in North Carolina that's part of the Frederick Douglass Foundation and the Douglass Leadership Institute. Look out for the Our Faith, Our Family, Our Freedom Conference is going down November 4th. What is that? 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Fort Mill, South Carolina. You can find out more at Douglass Leadership Institute. Again, folks, we are waiting for the octogenarian in chief to go live from the Oval Office. You're watching here on the Urban Conservative. Let's stay tuned, see what we get. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're checking out the Urban Conservative on a Thursday night. We are expecting Joe Biden to go live from the White House any moment. Go ahead, give us a like, share, let your friends and fam know that they can catch it live right here on the Urban Conservative. We're expecting Joe Biden to talk about Hamas and Israel. We expect him to mention Ukraine. He may mention, try to throw a few jabs at the Republicans for the debacle that is the state, the Speaker of the House situation. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we are on standby. It's supposed to go live here any moment. 8 p.m. was what we were told, is that the president would go live from the Oval Office at 8. We are at 8 p.m. now, so the feed should begin here momentarily. Again, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. Jump in the comment section. Let us know what you think about what Biden has to say coming up here. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll be back on the tail end of this to offer some more of our commentary on this. But again, you're watching the White House. President Biden should be addressing the nation momentarily here from the Oval Office. Just stand by, and we'll be right back. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. We're facing an inflection point in history. One of those moments where the decisions we make today are going to determine the future for decades to come. That's what I'd like to talk with you about tonight. You know, early this morning I returned from Israel. They tell me I'm the first American president to travel there during the war. I met with the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet. And most movingly, I met with Israelis who had personally lived through horrific horror of the attack by Hamas on the 7th of October. More than 1,300 people slaughtered in Israel, including at least 32 American citizens. Scores of innocents, from infants to the elderly grandparents. Israelis, Americans taken hostage. As I told the families of Americans being held captive by Hamas, we're pursuing every avenue to bring their loved ones home. As president, there is no higher priority for me than the safety of Americans held hostage. The terrorist group Hamas unleashed pure, unadulterated evil in the world. But sadly, the Jewish people know perhaps better than anyone that there is no limit to the depravity of people when they want to inflict pain on others. In Israel, I saw people who are strong, determined, resilient, and also angry, in shock and in deep, deep pain. I also spoke with President Abbas, the Palestinian Authority, and reiterated that the United States remains committed to the Palestinian people's right to dignity and to self-determination. The actions of Hamas terrorists don't take that right away. Like so many other, I'm heartbroken by the tragic loss of Palestinian life, including the explosion at the hospital in Gaza, which was not done by the Israelis. We mourn every innocent life lost. We can't ignore the humanity of innocent Palestinians who only want to live in peace and have an opportunity. You know, the assault on Israel echoes nearly 20 months of war, tragedy, and brutality inflicted on the people of Ukraine, people that were very badly hurt since Putin launched his all-out invasion. We've not forgotten the mass graves, the bodies found bearing signs of torture, rape used as a weapon by the Russians, and thousands of Ukrainian children forcibly taken into Russia, stolen from their parents. It's sick. Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy, completely annihilate it. Hamas' stated purpose for existing is the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields, and innocent Palestinian families are suffering greatly because of them. Meanwhile, Putin denies Ukraine has or ever had real statehood. He claims the Soviet Union created Ukraine. And just 2 weeks ago, he told the world that if the United States and our allies withdraw, and if the United States withdraw, our allies will as well, military support for Ukraine would have, quote, a week left to live, but we're not withdrawing. I know these conflicts can seem far away, and it's natural to ask, why does this matter to America? So let me share with you why making sure Israel and Ukraine succeed is vital for America's national security. You know, history has taught us that when terrorists don't pay a price for their terror, when dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction. They keep going, and the cost and the threats to America and the world keep rising. So if we don't stop Putin's appetite for power and control in Ukraine, he won't limit himself just to Ukraine. Putin's already threatened to remind, quote, remind Poland that their Western land was a gift from Russia. One of his top advisors, a former president of Russia, has called Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania Russia's Baltic provinces. These are all NATO allies. For 75 years, NATO has kept peace in Europe and has been the cornerstone of American security. And if Putin attacks a NATO ally, we will defend every inch of NATO which the treaty requires and calls for. We'll have something that we do not seek. Make it clear, we do not seek. We do not seek to have American troops fighting in Russia or fighting against Russia. Beyond Europe, we know that our allies, and maybe most importantly our adversaries and competitors, are watching. They're watching our response in Ukraine as well. And if we walk away and let Putin erase Ukraine's independence, would-be aggressors around the world would be emboldened to try the same. The risk of conflict and chaos could spread in other parts of the world, in the Indo-Pacific, in the Middle East, especially in the Middle East. Iran is supporting Russia in Ukraine, and it's supporting Hamas and other terrorist groups in the region, and will continue to hold them accountable, I might add. The United States and our partners across the region are working to build a better future for the Middle East. One where the Middle East is more stable, better connected to its neighbors, and through innovative projects like the India-Middle East-Europe Rail Corridor that I announced this year at the summit of the world's biggest economies. More predictable markets, more employment, less rage, less grievances, less war when connected. It benefits the people, it would benefit the people of the Middle East, and would benefit us. American leadership is what holds the world together. American alliances are what keep us, America, safe. American values are what make us a partner that other nations want to work with. To put all that at risk, if we walk away from Ukraine, if we turn our backs on Israel, it's just not worth it. That's why tomorrow I'm going to send to Congress an urgent budget request to fund America's national security needs, to support our critical partners, including Israel and Ukraine. It's a smart investment that's going to pay dividends for American security for generations. Help us keep American troops out of harm's way. Help us build a world that is safer, more peaceful, more prosperous for our children and grandchildren. In Israel, we must make sure that they have what they need to protect their people today and always. The security package I'm sending to Congress and asking Congress to do is an unprecedented commitment to Israel's security that will sharpen Israel's qualitative military edge, which we've committed to, the qualitative military edge. We're going to make sure Iron Dome continues to guard the skies over Israel. We're going to make sure other hostile actors in the region know that Israel is stronger than ever and prevent this conflict from spreading. Look, at the same time, President Netanyahu and I discussed again yesterday the critical need for Israel to operate by the laws of war. That means protecting civilians in combat as best as they can. The people of Gaza urgently need food, water, and medicine. Yesterday, in discussions with the leaders of Israel and Egypt, I secured an agreement for the first shipment of humanitarian assistance from the United Nations to Palestinian civilians in Gaza. If Hamas does not divert or steal these shipments, we're going to provide an opening for sustained delivery of life-saving humanitarian assistance for the Palestinians. As I said in Israel, as hard as it is, we cannot give up on peace. We cannot give up on a two-state solution. Israel and Palestinians equally deserve to live in safety, dignity, and peace. You know, and here at home, we have to be honest with ourselves. In recent years, too much hate has given too much oxygen, fueling racism, the rise of anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia, right here in America. It's also intensified in the wake of recent events that led to the horrific threats and attacks that both shock us and break our hearts. On October 7th, terror attacks have triggered deep scars and terrible memories in the Jewish community. Today, Jewish families worried about being targeted in school, wearing symbols of their faith, walking down the street, or going out about their daily lives. And I know many of you in the Muslim American community, the Arab American community, the Palestinian American community, and so many others are outraged and heartened, saying to yourselves, here we go again with Islamophobia and distrust we saw after 9/11. Just last week, a mother was brutally stabbed. A little boy, here in the United States, a little boy who just turned 6 years old was murdered in their home outside of Chicago. His name was Wadiha, a proud American, a proud Palestinian American family. We can't stand by and stand silent when this happens. We must, without equivocation, denounce anti-Semitism. We must also, without equivocation, denounce Islamophobia. And to all you hurting, those of you hurting, I want you to know I see you. You belong. And I want to say this to you. You're all America. You're all American. This is in a moment, in moments like these, when fear and suspicion, anger and rage run hard, that we have to work harder than ever to hold on to the values that make us who we are. We're a nation of religious freedom, freedom of expression. We all have a right to debate and disagree without fear of being targeted in schools or workplaces or in our communities. We must renounce violence and vitriol. See each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. When I was in Israel yesterday, I said that when America experienced the hell of 9/11, we felt enraged as well. While we sought and got justice, we made mistakes. So I cautioned the government of Israel not to be blinded by rage. In Congress to make sure we can continue to send Ukraine the weapons they need to defend themselves and their country without interruption, so Ukraine can stop Putin's brutality in Ukraine. They are succeeding. When Putin invaded Ukraine, he thought he would take Kyiv and all of Ukraine in a matter of days. Well, over a year later, Putin has failed, and he continues to fail. Kyiv still stands because of the bravery of the Ukrainian people. Ukraine has regained more than 50% of the territory Russian troops once occupied, backed by U.S.-led coalition of more than 50 countries around the world, all doing its part to support Kyiv. What would happen if we walked away? We are the essential nation. Meanwhile, Putin has turned to Iran and North Korea to buy attack drones and ammunition to terrorize Ukrainian cities and people. From the outset, I've said, I will not send American troops to fight in Ukraine. All Ukraine is asking for is help for the weapons, munitions, the capacity, the capability to push invading Russian forces off their land, and the air defense system to shoot down Russian missiles before they destroy Ukrainian cities. Let me be clear about something. We send Ukrainian equipment sitting in our stockpiles. And when we use the money allocated by Congress, we use it to replenish our own stores, our own stockpiles with new equipment. Equipment that defends America and is made in America. Patriot missiles for air defense batteries, made in Arizona. Artillery shells manufactured in 12 states across the country, in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, and so much more. You know, Just as in World War II, today patriotic American workers are building the arsenal of democracy and serving the cause of freedom. Let me close with this. Earlier this year, I boarded Air Force One for a secret flight to Poland. There I boarded a train with blacked out windows for a 10-hour ride each way to Kyiv, to stand with the people of Ukraine ahead of the one-year anniversary of their brave fight against Putin. I'm told I was the first American to enter a war zone not controlled by the United States military since President Lincoln. With me was just a small group of security personnel and a few advisors. But when I exited that train and met Zelensky, President Zelensky, I didn't feel alone. I was bringing with me the idea of America, the promise of America, to the people who are today fighting for the same things we fought for 250 years ago: freedom, independence, self-determination. And as I walked through Kyiv with President Zelensky, with air raid sirens sounding in the distance, I felt something I've always believed, more strongly than ever before. America is a beacon to the world. Still. Or as my friend Madeleine Albright said, the indispensable nation. Tonight, there are innocent people all over the world who hope because of us, who believe in a better life because of us, who are desperate not to be forgotten by us, and are waiting for us. But time is of the essence. I know we have our divisions at home. We have to get past them. We can't let petty, partisan, angry politics get in the way of our responsibilities as a great nation. We cannot and will not let terrorists like Hamas and tyrants like Putin win. I refuse to let that happen. In moments like these, we have to remember who we are. We are the United States of America. The United States of America. And there is nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. My fellow Americans, thank you for your time. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it. Joe Biden made it through an entire 13, 14-minute speech there. I think 15 minutes at max. Didn't really hear anything new. Same sticking and talking points as we heard before. Folks, you've been checking out a live address by Joe Biden from the Oval Office here on The Urban Conservative. Peace and love.